Hi, my name is Lee Nagel. I'm your host for I Want You to Be Rich. This channel talks about money, and today we're going to talk about what are some of the habits that are keeping the middle class in the rat race. That's the middle class trap that we're talking about. So you see, I work more than 10 years as a CPA in Wall Street, studying accounting, working with clients in a bank. I have seen firsthand how habits are keeping the middle class trapped in the rat race. So to just sustain your lifestyle, so maybe you're comfortable in a certain car, living in a certain house, but this means that you're putting your real life goal in the background, working in a job that you're tied to, and maybe a job that you don't even like, not spending time with your family and friends that you want to. And so today I'm going to walk you through what are some of these habits that are keeping the middle class trapped in the rat race and how you can avoid them. Number one, not knowing your worth. So a lot of times, especially women, are not negotiating a salary that is at pace with inflation. For example, if your management giving you a 2% increment this year, and inflation is at 6 to 10%. In fact, prices at Whole Foods have gone up 20-30%. If you look at the price of eggs, bread, and milk at Whole Foods, it's not at 6%, definitely. But 2% increment this year means that for the next year, you'll be doing more work, and you're getting about, 7-8% less real money because your salary actually went down because of inflation. So knowing your worth and negotiating your salary in such a way that you're paid more can really help you keep pace with inflation, or just networking and make a jump to the next job. Because when you quit, and often as a human resource consultant earlier on, I see when people quit and they put in a contractor and then later on a full-time personnel, the salary went up 20-30%. And I wonder why they wouldn't have kept this person with 5-10 years experience. They know everything, and she was just asking for a 5% increment instead of this 30% increment for the new person. Well, you see, they don't want to give you the 5% increment because you're there and they don't think that you're going to leave. They're going to give this new person that comes in a 30% increment because the recruitment agency tells them that you can't get anyone better if you don't have a certain budget. So either you change your job, you jump to another company, network, or you try to negotiate a higher salary because you're giving the value to the company. So talk about the value they have given to the company. Number two, I often see people buying what they can afford. So buying what you can afford is a big tragedy, meaning that if your salary went up $2,000 extra every month, people go out there and upgrade their cars. The first thing they do is buy a newer car. In fact, buying a new car is a financial crime. Why would you buy a new car? But that is for another video. But they go out there and they live it to the point where I can afford this. So buying what you can afford is a middle class habit, because you need to keep up your lifestyle, your image with your neighbors, how you look and sound. Why? Because you're middle class, you need to show who you are. Whereas I see very rich client billionaires, they dress however they want, they wear whatever they want. Why? Because they're confident they have real money in the bank. So if you buy whatever you can afford, the problem is no matter how much your salary increase, you're living paycheck to paycheck. So it doesn't matter if your salary went up by 5%, 10%, or you got promoted to management. I have seen lawyers, I have seen doctors struggling financially. Why? Because buying what they can afford. So if your salary went up and your expenses went up, look, you're the same, and you're struggling. You're not saving more. Number three is buying a property to live in, thinking that it's an asset. And this is from Robert Kiyosaki. He explains it so well. But it's basic financial literacy. which is not taught in school. If this middle class habit of buying what you can afford, and most of the time a house, a property, or an apartment, say in New York City, it's most likely an apartment, it's a problem because then your mortgage payment keep going up because you're buying a house that you can afford. So if you're say a lawyer, a professional, a top tech person, you earn $200,000 a year, and you're buying something that you can afford, you're going through what they call a middle class trap, because then you're paying mortgage on this property that you live in that is not generating any income, that you think is an asset, you're investing, but you're living inside. And if your mortgage payment is 15, 20, 30 years even, then you're paying it for the rest of your life with a lot of interest. Compounded is maybe 30-40% more than the original amount of your house, and you're trapped. So buying a house, a property early can also be a problem. Buying what you can afford. So look at what you can afford and go down a little bit so you have some buffer. So in case you get fired, unemployed, you got sick, you don't want to work because you're stressed out mentally, you need some space, you can quit because your mortgage payment is not so huge that you can't take your emergency fund to fund it. So don't just buy what you can afford. Buy something that is a little bit less than what you can afford, or a lot less than what you can afford. So remember, money is living in your house. That's a liability. It takes money away from you every month paying your mortgage. I know renting is hard, and I know many of you out there don't have the tools and resources, and financial literacy is not taught. I have a 3-day program where you receive an email from me for the 3 days, and inside there are tools and resources where it can help you walk through how many percent of your income you're spending on your house and car, and it helps you work through. It gives you a basic beginning to financial literacy. If you're interested, comment below and I'll send you a link. So, and it's absolutely free. The recommended percentages varies between 20 to 30%, but it really depends on how much you're earning, because you're earning below a certain amount, you're on survival mode. You can't even really buy that house. Number 4 that I see all the middle class do is thinking that your job is ironclad, that you rely only on one source of income. So your employer is everything to you. Your employer is providing the school fees that you're paying for your kids, your medical insurance, your mortgage, your car installments. Everything comes from one employer. And if that employer fires you, and we have seen in the pandemic, things are not as steady and as consistent as we think, then that employer causes you to lose everything. You go into financial crisis, because how are you going to pay for everything when your only source of income is from the employment? So don't become that middle class rat. Have multiple sources of income. Invest in stocks, have dividends, or have a rental property. And the best way to start, if you don't have anything to invest in, is to have a side hustle. Do a second part-time job, something that you love. Develop a hobby and then bring it into a business, or online business, something that's low cost, something that you put aside time for. So don't be that middle class where you're one incident away from a financial crisis. And we all know that the last financial crisis, the Lehman Brothers collapse, it's more than 10 years ago, and the next big financial crisis is coming. It's part of life, it's part of capitalist society in the United States. So be prepared for it. Don't rely on one source of income. Number 5, the middle class trap that causes you to be in the rat race and tie you to your job and stop you from financial freedom and really living your life, is ignoring the importance of financial literacy. I know the tools are not out there because, in our education system, even in accounting education, they don't teach you about financial literacy. Go out there, read something. If there's something that I would invest in myself much earlier on, is financial literacy. It's not the bag, it's not the car, it's not the house. Because you know what? This skill set that I picked up helped me so much, and it stays with me. Rather than my bag that lasted me for 4 years or or car, things like that are material possession, and it doesn't give you more than traveling from point A to point B. Whereas picking up financial literacy really helped me. It just keep giving me more and more. So investing in yourself, grow your skill sets. That's very important, so that you have the tools to understand what are the things that you can do and can't do. I know it's okay in your 20s, like we party, we want to enjoy ourselves, we graduated, we studied so hard. I get that. But what about when you're in your 30s, 40s, and you're still ignoring it? It makes it harder and harder to correct the mistake. You will see people in their 30s losing all their savings because they invested in stocks. In fact, they didn't invest, they gamble on the stock market. And it makes it harder and harder to correct the mistakes. And all these mistakes echo through your life until you decide to invest in your understanding of money and your relationship with money. Number 6, it's this thing called consumerism versus creation. So imagine people who are very rich. What do? They create and create and create. So for example, Amazon, every day he's selling something. Jeff Bezos is selling something to you. He's delivering something, he's creating value. So every day he's creating something through a platform called Amazon. Whereas for you, every day you're clicking on Amazon to buy something, you're consuming something. I understand there are basic needs and necessity, but beyond that, you want to understand what are the money that you put into consumption, meaning that it doesn't produce revenue, and what are the things that causes you money that you put into creation. For example, this mic that I bought, it's a creation dollar. So I invested in a mic so that it can help me make videos, it can help me generate a platform. So look at things, what are the creation and what are the consumption. Be less a consumer and be more a creator. For example, if you walk dogs in New York City, you can make a lot of money. So you're creating a service. Or if you are a tutor, you tutor English on your spare time, you are a creator. Instead of consuming things, you're creating. And the best part about creation is that when you're creating a service, often you're not consuming, you're not shopping, you're not eating. So it's actually very good to work a side hustle. And the last thing that I want to say, number 7, is keeping up with your neighbors and the Kardashians. So keeping up, what does it mean? The Kardashians have bought a new pair of, exercise gear, new house, a lip done. So yeah, you're always keeping up with to sustain your lifestyle image, how you want to look, the kind of clothes that you want to wear, the bags, the shoes, and of course you want the latest car. But what are you sacrificing? You're ignoring the importance of compounding, like saving for retirement, or even just the fact that you have extra money. Because if you start paying yourself first and you start saving money, putting it aside in an investment or something that grows your money, then you will see the wonders of compounding. And if you're a parent, you put it in for your kids, you will see that in 10, 20 years, the magical thing about time that Warren Buffett talks about, you don't need to be an expert in the stock market. You don't need to be an expert in anything. You let time do the work. The fact that you're consistent at something is enough to make you a millionaire. Consistently putting aside money for yourself. Pay yourself first before you pay your bills, your credit card. Pay yourself, lock aside some money, and then invest and see the effects of compounding. And I think a lot of us are trying to sustain our lifestyle, keeping up with the Kardashians, as they say, buying a new car, moving into a nicer neighborhood, buying a new hairstyle, doing your nails, instead of putting aside money. Maintaining all these things also take time. If you're doing your nails, you're burning away your time, and then also you need to do it again and again. And what you can do to think about something in your life that you can take away and put aside money and see the power of compounding. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your kids, for the educational fund. Put it aside for 20 years and see the power of compounding. Because Warren Buffett says you don't have to. You just have to bet on the American economy, because the American economy has consistently come back from recession and have been doing very well because we're a consumer society. Everyone is consuming something. So if you invest in these businesses, people are consuming the businesses that invest, and you get a compounded return over time. So these are the 7 habits that are keeping the middle class trapped in the rat race. I like to hear from you. What are the thoughts that you have on the habits that are keeping you away from your financial goal? Comment below. What do you think are some of the habits that we all have that often is the problem to why we're tied to the rat race? And what do you think of this culture of capitalism where we work at one job, work very hard, and then retire? Comment below. And this is Lee signing off. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, subscribe below.